I had a nice day of. I listened to last week's in two sections early a few days ago, and then last night. And I don't know. It seemed like a lot of this stuff that John's saying is sinking in to some degree, at least. And I know I tell you guys that I write my thoughts down a lot, and I thought, well, if nobody else is going to say anything, I could start by reading a sample of what I write, and then so you can sort of it's about a paragraph or two. Anybody up for that?
It's all good.
Sure.
Okay, like I like to. It's like a play. I like to play with words and logic. So I understand. It can only. In fact, I just read a page in Amrit Leia, and I couldn't find a quote real quick just before I got on, but it says to the effect, "You will never get so-called enlightenment through words or logic, and something to that effect." But like I'll take a concept like hypocrisy, and this is I'll read directly what I wrote. It's not too hard to see that any assumption of being true according to words will lead to hypocrisy. Any belief in being limited to a certain known way. What is or possibly could be a or the exact known determining factor that makes something good for me, or that was a question. I didn't read it as a question. What is or possibly could be the exact known determining factor that makes something good for me, and also good for sure overall for everyone. And I know. Well, I'll keep reading. Actual unknown unlimitedness. This is the answer I came up with. Actual unknown unlimitedness and adaptability, openability, its non-self, indeterminacy, and freedom that undermines knowns, assumptions, and pride. But even these are words and concepts that will just serve to strap you to seemingly known answer. Concepts of openability, freedom, and unlimitedness. And then I just wrote, I enjoy undermining my logic and my knowns and my pride. So, but so I know, I'm using logic, but I always leave it open to taking me to a place where there's no real answer. It's just and that helps me to do that, at least to some degree. But then, mantra works even better, probably.
Well, and the truth is, writing down your thoughts, it should be a blank page.
You're a cartoon character with an empty thought bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll think about that.
Exactly.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Good advice for all of us.
Yeah, that's a very, very good picture. You picture yourself with the thought bubble and nothing in it.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're a character, the body mind is a character rather than an entity. It's like you're designing this cartoon character that you're walking around called Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the stick figure, it's just a bunch of lines. Then you put it together, and through imagination, you say, "Oh, this is a stick figure. This is a person." But other than that, it's a bunch of lines just intersecting. It takes imagination to then look at the sticks and say, oh, this is a little stick figure, a little person. Let me draw a little bubble above his head with nothing in it. But it's just lines on a paper. And the background is the paper. I think Nisargadatta Maharaj talks about that the background to the words is the paper, and nobody's really paying attention to the paper. The same with the everyday things, the thoughts that are flowing. You're not really paying attention to the presence on which all these thoughts are actually appearing from.
I'm going to write that down.
And see, that's another thing too. It's impressing in the moment. That's what Maharaj, and that's what I was talking about a couple of weeks ago about the conveyance. There's a speaker and listener are one and the same. The space in this room and the space in that room is communicating with its own self using these different instruments to do that. So as this is going on, there's just that impression, that constant recognition in the projection, that flow very nicely, that the space in this room and the space in that room where you happen to be perceiving yourself as a form in a room in the space in your room and the space in this room are exactly the same. And the space that's the same is using this instrument to speak and that instrument to speak. But the two instruments are merely flutes or what do you call it, recorders or something like this, and that's it. So the ideas and beliefs that a particular form may be having really don't have anything to do with the reality. It only has to do with the form and the space. The space isn't having any thoughts about itself until it expresses through an instrument. And then, like Maharaj says, mind, ego, intellect comes along with that, and there starts to be the interpreting of, I know myself and this is me. But just because I know myself doesn't mean that I'm this form. I know myself through the instrument of this form. And that's why I have a great gift. I can use this form to know myself and my formless reality so that I'm no longer afraid that when the forms disappear, I'm gone.
I was getting a sense today for a while of what you said last week about selfless self just moving everything around.
Yeah.
People and everything just.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about last week about the space in this room, and this is a dead body. And the space leaves. Okay, there's just this lump of goo. And all of a sudden the space comes into this lump of goo and sees through these eyes and sees all this stuff. And then says, I exist. For the first time, the space in the room didn't know it existed. And now it's using this instrument to know this existence. And immediately then it's impressed that all of this world is here. I didn't know this. I didn't know myself, nor did I know a world. But now that I'm here, I identify with this body form that's seeing this world, because this is the first time I'm experiencing the world. Other than that, that's why Maharaj says there's no experience, no experiencer. The space in the room is not experiencing anything until it clicks with a body and says I, and then it has the experience of being a limited something rather than the space that it always is. And the fear comes that when this little limited body goes, I'm gone, because I didn't know myself prior to this. Now I know myself, and I have a fear. That's why Maharaj talks about the ants. I now have a fear that when this body goes, I'm gone. I won't know myself because I won't have an instrument of knowing, but I'm there because I'm the space that clicked with the body that said, I. The I isn't this body form. The I is the space in the room that's saying I and understanding I for the first time ever, but is not I. There's not an individual I. The space in the room just happens to realize itself, and that's it. And then the reverse. Oh, okay, I am not body. I was not body. I'm not going to remain body. And yet I know this sense of existence, and this sense of existence is like sky or space. So I just return to my natural state, the sky or the space that's using the form, rather than the misidentification of the space that believed it was the form.
Yeah, so although it makes sense to it makes sense to think that I exist. It's a false sense of existence.
Well, you exist, just not as what you appear to be. No appearance can be yourself.
Yeah.
You're the knower of existence. The sense of existence is what created all this whole everything. But you are. Whether you know you are or not, you are. You can never not be, because all of everything, when it's gone, there was still something to which it appeared to. That's you. You. This sense of existence had to appear to something. I exist. Well, who's this I that exists? The I that exists was the no knowing state. No knowledge, no ignorance, just nothing. And then suddenly the stirring, I exist. And that's as it talks about the Maya. I exist is the first thought. And then that created all this other thoughts, and this I exist as this.
And then my logic will try to get me to choose between knowing whether it's all being or whether it's all non-being.
Well, prior to being,
Yeah, prior to being. Yeah.
prior to being, there's no being and there's no non-being, because there's no concept of being or non-being. It's just prior to beingness. Prior to beingness is the witness of this presence, the first sense of existence, the beingness that's appeared to you, the neither being nor non-being. And that's why Nisargadatta Maharaj has talked about, that's the stateless state of being between being and not being. I don't know being, and I don't know not being, because I'm prior. The sense of being isn't impressing. And if it is, that's the only sense that's there, this sense of being, this presence on which the entire world has appeared. Just like if you were to lay down at sleep at night, the sense of existence mixed with the consciousness blows out the dream world and populates it, puts all the people in the dream world. You have cars and planes and sun and moon and stars, and all the people you know in the waking dream state can be in your dream, but you created them. They didn't just, you know what I'm saying? And you're in that dream as believing yourself to be something different, even though you're the dreamer. And only the dreamer is formless reality that had the sense of existence that clicked with consciousness and created the dream world. Because as Maharaj says, everything arises on spontaneous presence. The entire world is a projection on your spontaneous presence. The spontaneous presence is the blip of existence. I exist. And boom, the whole of everything is created.
And then you start disturbing the peace.
Well, yeah, because you start to see other things and you become a thing. You mentally impress on the idea that I'm a thing and there are other things. And there are things that this thing needs. You know, there were no needs prior to beingness. There was no body prior to beingness, no body relations prior to beingness, no need for anything. Not even to know your own self did you have this need. But now that you have an objective point of view, I'm this object and all these other objects, I need them. You know, I need this, I need that. True, the body has needs, but those are going to be provided for anyway, because it's just a natural occurring. But I'm talking about needs like, I want to be the boss at my job, or I want to be a famous so-and-so. Like Maharaj says, publicity, money, sex. These are the things that I believe I need that create the desire that separates me from myself, because now I can't be formless. I've objectified this person that wants these objects. So object to object, rather than remaining formlessly aware. And objects are coming and going, but they're on your spontaneous presence. You know this. There's no object worth giving yourself away for. But that's when you know yourself. If you've objectified yourself, even for a moment, you will see a world filled with objects that are for the taking. And this mind flow will enjoy so much, like, oh, I want this. You know, oh, I want this new car. And 5 days later, I see my neighbor and he has a different new car. And I'm like, oh, I should have gotten that car. Because mind is going to constantly, the more you follow these desires, the more desires sprout. It's like, you know, when they say when rabbits make love, and they boom, they get like 20 rabbits out of these 2 rabbits. Same thing with desires. One desire gives birth to another 20, 30 desires. And you're lost in the bubble of illusion.
It's playing with fire.
Yeah, that's why a desire comes. Oh, notice and discard. And that's it. What do I want? Nothing. What do I need? Nothing. I'm prior to beingness, and all of this is what my beingness is involved with, and I have nothing to do with that. I remain prior to beingness.
But I do play with fire a lot because, like, I go to music concerts a lot. I'm a college DJ, and I have a giant record collection. I've loved music my whole life, and a concert comes up, and I feel like, you know, I kind of got to go, and I don't question at that time whether I'm playing with fire or not, but I could, you know, it doesn't mean I can't go to the concert, but if I go, I probably should keep doing mantra or whatever while I'm there, and I do try to do that to some degree at least.
Well, and remember, the body goes from point A to point B to point B to point C. You don't. You're the space in which this little body is moving about. You're not really going anywhere. That's why Maharaj says all the time, you don't need to fly to India to view the ashram and sit in the ashram. Your ashram is wherever you are when you remain with your selfless self, because you're formless. You have to have a limited identification in order to say, I'm traveling. That's why when this body falls, if you're identified with the limited body, then you say, oh, where does it go? Where do I go? But I'm all things, not identified with the limited body form. So when the body falls, I'm everywhere. There's nowhere I'm not. So it doesn't make sense. And what you're saying, okay, like Maharaj says, good thoughts come, take them. As long as it's not a pressure, like, okay, here's the desire. You're sitting at home, you have no money whatsoever, you want to go to this concert, you know you can't afford the concert, so you go and apply for a credit card. This is where the troubles come. Otherwise, if it's just a daily, okay, I'm going to go, like I go to the park. Okay, today I'm going to go to the park. Not having desires doesn't mean you're a stone statue. It means allowing the desires to pressurize you into basically performing against yourself. And you're only going to disturb yourself when you perform against yourself, because this mind flow is going to tell you that you want to be somewhere where you aren't right now. But if it's a simple thing like, hey, this is a show, I like to hear music, I'm going to go. That's no problem. See, you don't have to keep saying, just like Maharaj has said, you don't have to keep saying, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, or I'm Keith, I'm Keith, I'm Keith. You know your selfless self, now move about and enjoy. When something comes in to pressurize you and the thoughts start to stir and you just notice, okay, and let them go. Okay, take no notice. If I get lost for even a moment before I've had that spontaneous conviction, then mantra. And again, things can happen. We talked about the other time about like deaths in families and stuff. You don't just sit at home and say, I don't need to attend the funeral. No one died. No one's being born. I'll just tell my family that I can't show up because I'm too spiritual to go to a funeral. No. Like Maharaj has said about, oh, I'm a spiritual man. How can I do these things? How can I go get a job? I'm so spiritual. But it's everyday things. These are very light things that don't need a lot of you in them. Now, funeral is not a light thing. It's going to impress on you, oh, somebody close to me died. In the deeper understanding, I am not body, I was not body, I'm not going to remain the body. There's no birth or death. But I can still attend a funeral. I can still go and have a party. I can still go to the concert, like you said. I can go to the park and enjoy the sunrise without having to sit there and think, oh, it's all illusion. No, I don't need to do this. The spontaneous conviction, so that okay, this sense of presence I'm the knower of, and all the world is appearing on the presence. But I don't have to keep reminding myself. You are Brahman, you are Paramatman, you are God, you are Master. You don't have to keep reminding yourself. You can refresh your memories when something comes where you might get lost in the illusion. You can refresh your memories and, oh, no, 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 so that I am that. No need to worry about this thing. But other than that, enjoy, just as you do when you're dreaming. When you're in your dream and you lay down at night and the dream world's projected, you quite happily go about your dream. Maybe you know you're dreaming, maybe you don't, I don't know, but you just happily go about knowing that it's just a dream. So you don't take anything really, really heavy. And something comes up, like, I just got a jury duty notice a little while ago, and I just looked, and okay, what's the action required? The day before, I need to call this number, and I need to notify my boss. Okay. Now, if I'm in the sense of a me, I say, oh my God, how inconvenient this is, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, but see, in the moment, it's just something appears, like Maharaj says, I take the tea, I drink, and I put it back down. And that's it. And that's everything. A bill comes in the mail, and you have no idea what it is, but they say you owe a bunch of money, and you look at it. What's the thing? You call this number. Okay, call the number. And you don't call the number like, I don't owe this bill, blah, blah, blah. No, call the number. Hello. This is the number I was told to call, and this is the account number I'm referencing. That's it. Because you know it's illusion, so you don't take the touch. Those are the times that it's important to remain with your selfless self, because the entire world has appeared on your spontaneous presence. So they're tension-free, fearless, peaceful. All these things arise spontaneously.
Yeah, it's like if I can't make it to the concert, I will likely end up taking the touch that I'll be disappointed and aggravated, but also I can see also that I can't go to every concert anyway, and I do miss some, and I let it go, and I accept that, So and then so even don't get down on yourself for taking the touch,
Well, that's why we talk about refresh the memories. Refresh the memories with mantra, with bhajan, with listening to the master for, one of the little YouTube videos or something. Just refresh your memories. Oh, yeah. Okay. In the beginning, like Maharaj says, it has to be deliberate effort. Deliberate effort is, oh, look at that. Like you said, I couldn't go to this concert. I'm a little bummed out about it. But come on now. I am not body. I was not body. I'm not going to remain the body. Master has actually put this situation in my path so that I can see what's going on in the mind flow, and whether I'm identifying, and whether I'm getting closer and closer to selfless self, or whether I'm back in the illusory ditch. And that's why it's so important to live the knowledge. Like Maharaj says, the talks and the reading books and all this is very nice, but put it into practice immediately, like in the very next moment. And try to, for a while, see how long you can remain as your selfless self, as Brahman, as Atman, as you're living the reality. And then, okay, something pressures in. I refresh my memory. Okay, I am not body. I was not body. I'm not going to remain the body. Mantra through this experience, keeping the mind busy. So no experiencer, no experience. And that's, and in the beginning, of course, I told you about the food poisoning. This was a very good example of mind putting pressure. Like, oh my God, I am so sick. Here I go, run into the bathroom again. Oh my God. Oh, this is so terrible. But then it was just, no, mantra, mantra, mantra. And you get so used to keeping the mind busy with mantra that you're not allowing the mind to go and travel off and say that it really doesn't like being sick, and why are we sick, and maybe we should go home, and all this stuff. No, don't talk to me. I'm concentrated on mantra. And when the mind is concentrated on mantra, the invisible seer sees, I don't need this mind. As a matter of fact, all these things are just happening spontaneously around me. Why was I listening to that guy anyway? And that was, you know, in the cab at night, and it was pouring down rain. Mantra, 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 mantra. Because just before I left the ashram, and see, I know, I told a devotee when we were at the ashram as well, Paulo, because he was having some experiences. He didn't like the mosquitoes. He didn't like this. He didn't like that. I said, Paulo, please understand. Imagine that this ashram is like a rat type maze, you know, like it's a test. And this selfless self is creating all these experiences because he, in the form of Sri Ramakat Maharaj, said, when experience comes up, ignore it, keep with mantra. Experience comes up, ignore it, keep with mantra. And this selfless self is projecting all these different tests for you to go through, like a maze or like a video game almost. Will you remain with your selfless self? Or are you going to take the touch of this thing? Oh, these mosquitoes, they're terrible. Oh, it's very hot. Oh, I don't like this. No, no, no. Remain with mantra. And that's the whole game, basically. When the mind is not sitting there trying to pressure you into believing you're someone having an experience, no experience is created. And then you can't have a bad experience because there's no experience. You can't really have a good experience because there's no experience. There's just spontaneous activity in the moment without a mind commenting or taking credit or saying it doesn't want this to be occurring right now. And that's why keeping the mind busy with mantra is a very beautiful thing. I highly suggest everybody in every moment, mantra. Just keep mantra. Keep the mind busy with mantra and start to see that this reality is reality, that this spontaneous living is the reality. You don't need mind, ego, intellect to sit there. Like Maharaj says, you can walk on your own feet. You don't need like the walker or the crutches. You know, mind, ego, intellect have been crutches for so long, or even worse, they're like a seeing eye dog. They go out and see the world and report back to you what's happening before you even get to see what's happening. And then you've already formed your concept of the experience you're going to have because your little seeing eye dog of mind, ego, intellect has already reported back. But if the seeing eye dog is concentrating on mantra, then there's no seeing and there's no reporting. There's no experience, no experiencer.
You get to remain the blank page. Okay.
Absolutely. Someone says, write your thoughts. You'd be like, yeah. Writer's block. And this is the reality. See, when you're not pretending to be a person, pretending, because you sit there and you say, oh, but if I don't listen to my thoughts, what will happen to me? And so many times you hear like, well, how will my everyday life be lived? Well, it's living quite nicely right now. And it will live even better without you there to participate and be in it. You'll be there, but you're not creating the stream of life through memories and desires and fears. You're just here. And see, then the fear of death, that becomes kind of silly because number one, you know yourself as formless. But number two, it'll be spontaneous, 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 no longer spontaneous. That's it. Like there's nothing, you know what I'm saying? It's like walking off a cliff, basically. There's no knowing. It's just, oh, okay, it's finished. But you don't know it's finished. That's why Maharaj says, like, dying in your sleep. You go to sleep at night. Every night you're dead. That's what Nisargadatta Maharaj says. You're gone. So if you didn't wake up, you wouldn't have the fear of death because you're just gone. Who's to have this fear of death? So you know yourself now in body form. But when there's no knowing, then it's like a deep sleep. And the deep sleep where you don't, it's death every night. You just experience a resurrection in the morning, basically. But that is possible only because there's one continuum. And just like birth and death, there's one continuum, the substratum of everything, which is your spontaneous presence on which all this world is arising. There's something in the nothing.
But it seems to be there's no value in that to the body mind. It doesn't seem to see any possible value in.
What, to know yourself? Because eventually you're going to turn inward and seek something besides all this stuff that's going on outside. You'll get burned out from all the illusory whatever. You know what I mean? Just like the baubles on the tree, you can only play with the baubles so long. Or if you're a kid, imagine you're a kid and every single Christmas, your parents buy you every single gift that's there. And you do this Christmas after Christmas after Christmas. Eventually you're like, oh, maybe I should ask for nothing. Because it just becomes and this is when you turn in for spirituality. A lot of times it's because, see, the mind keeps telling you, if you do this, this will happen, and that'll happen, and this will happen, but it never does. And eventually you get like, man, why does life not work? What is happening? And you will kind of break that down. And that's when you will start to, like Nisargadatta Maharaj says, you no longer enjoy the dream. Now you want to wake up from the dream. And you wake up from the dream by creating this whole spiritual journey of finding yourself. But only in this human form can you contemplate yourself and have any of these things. Like the rabbit doesn't get tired being a rabbit because it doesn't have that impression, I'm a rabbit, I need to be a rabbit today. Who? Nobody tells a rabbit to be a rabbit. A rabbit is a rabbit. But you, Keith, somebody told you how to be Keith.
I'm going to sock him one.
That's why it's so important. You know yourself in a real sense. The knower of this formless presence. Just I, just I. The meditation, that's why Maharaj says, if you don't do meditation, it's not going to work. If you are not earnest about your meditation, if you're not earnest about bhajan, if you don't have the devotion too. I'm reading in Master of Self-Realization, and he stresses devotion, devotion, devotion. Now, devotion's going to come spontaneously. I can't explain that, but just it's like an internal kind of selfless self-devotion. But in the beginning, to be earnest, there should be devotion. There's a devotion. When there's the theory of a devotee and devotion, this is something that's needed, like devotion to selfless self in the form of a master, in the form of something. As long as you appear to be a form or believe yourself as a form, then you're probably going to have devotion to some other kind of form. And yet, like Sri Siddharmeshwara Maharaj says all the time, is that the highest form of worship is worshiping the self in the form that it's appearing in front of you. Like the dog, you give the dog water and some dog food. You don't bow before the dog because the dog will look at you like, what? Let me go back to the pound. But if you're bowing, then you're bowing. This is a sense of the same as I'm feeding the dog, I'm watering the dog. Or you do nice things for other people without taking the touch of being a doer. You're the formless reality using this form to worship the formless reality in this other form that happens to be appearing. But both are that selfless self.
As for the devotion, though, I can see what you mean by it spontaneously arises, because I get that sometimes, but then also other times it's like I can't really, I could maybe conceptualize it, try to generate devotion, but it's just not the same. It's not spontaneously love like true devotion.
Well, and the pictures of the masters, these masters are the form of your selfless self, and they've given you the knowledge. Like, had you not come across, and I think Ramakant Maharaj has said this many times, that if he had not come across Nisargadatta Maharaj, he would still be going to worship in temples and still worshiping various different gods and truly believing in all the conceptual beliefs that were impressed on him, it took a master to remove the illusion. So naturally, I mean, just the humility of falling to the feet of the master.
You
This
know,
is, go ahead.
when I was at the visit with Ramakant in DC, there was, you know, I was perfectly willing to bow to the master, and one of the guys next to me, he said, he questioned why I do that or something. I said, well, I do it for myself. I just told him.
Because if you're believing yourself to be a form, here's another form. You're going to look at that form as a person. Because you're believing yourself to be a person in a form. You're going to look at Sri Ramakant Maharaj as a person in a form. And your mind is going to say, why bow to this person? I don't get this. And I'm sure, look at that guy. He's smiling when people bow to him. You know what I'm saying? Because you're considering yourself a person that's doing devotion to another person. Once you start to get impressions of this formless sense of existence, and you know, like I was talking before about feeling the presence and going to India knowing that I am surrendering any concept of ego, mind, and intellect at the feet of this presence in the form of Sri Ramakant Maharaj. I actually consider it very blessing that knowing the presence and then surrendering to the opportunity to surrender in form. And also, in my case too, knowing that you're not like completely out of your mind insane. Because this sense of presence and the different things that were occurring, the experiences that were occurring in my life, the spiritual experiences, when I shared them with others, trying to get some kind of idea of what was going on, I looked like an insane person. You know, why don't you just go to church and do the right thing? You know, why go into all this stuff? But when presence, I was able to bow to this presence in the form of Sri Ramakant Maharaj and basically thank this presence that, you know, even though the whole world was saying that this is not true, there was some deep, deep, deep desire to know myself. And then Sri Ramakant Maharaj said, this presence, all this world is appearing on that presence, and you are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain the body. So if I'm not body and there is presence, then presence is all there is. It knows itself through this body form, and it's like the sensation. It's the perfume coming from the flower. You know there's a flower because there's perfume coming from it. You smell this flower. I don't have to see a flower. I can close my eyes and I can sense, oh, there must be a flower there because this perfume, this sense of existence is arising. And I know this. Man, even with the AC on, it is hot in my house.
Turn it up.
It's at 67 right now, but it's like a little wall unit thing, so, or a window unit thing.
You need to get some central air.
Yeah, no, this is an old house, like 100 some odd years old, so no.
Yeah, actually,
That's not easy.
yeah, I know. It's not. Yeah, the houses at that time were not made for this.
Well, I guess it was still hot then. I don't know what they did. They must have just known I'm sweating, so I'm just going to be sweaty, and that's just that. But and see, I rent this apartment in this couple 100-year-old house, so it's not I can't just say, hey, you know what would be great is to knock down the walls and put in central air. So, but
No, the house I used to live in didn't have central air, and we added it, but it wasn't that hard because it was one floor, mostly one floor, and we just, put it in the attic.
No, this is a house that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bedrooms, or 6-bedroom apartment type. That 1-bedroom apartment, 6 of them. So
yeah,
it's Yeah.
No,
But I mean,
it's different. You mean some places it's just about impossible.
yeah, this is, plus I'm sure my landlord wouldn't do that anyway, so.
Well, you can look around for an updated, modern building that has central air. But then you lose
Mm,
the charm of the house that you're in.
yeah, see, this is, I don't know. A lot of people say, oh, why don't you go and get like a regular apartment type thing? But this is very nice. I'm very content here.
Yeah, that's a nice
Good.
location and for your, for your work and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And see, there's no desire. There's no desire. Now, if my landlord were to come and say, John, I need you to leave in a month because I'm going to sell this whole house or whatever. Okay, then at that time, that's okay. There's no like attachment to the place. But at the same time, there's no desire to say, oh, I need something more or something like this. So just, content, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't see the time now. I don't have a clock over here to turn. Oh, 8:05. Okay, we have a little bit of time.
Isn't that a watch you're wearing on your left hand?
Yeah, but again, see, I have contacts.
Uh,
So, and I didn't used to be able to wear the contacts. So now from distance, seeing distance-wise, it's perfect. But then close up, I need like little readers, even to read my watch, unless I put my watch out here or, yeah, so it's very crazy.
yeah.
And like Maharaj would say, spiritual science says that today is Guru Purnima. This is, bless you, this is the day that you are guaranteed to realize yourself if you go and spend some time with you. Guru Purnima is like a very auspicious occasion with the full moon, and this is like a very, again, spiritual science says, which is always Maharaj is saying, within the illusion, this is a truth. And within the illusion, Guru Purnima is a most auspicious day.
And that's today?
Yes. Yeah, that's why I sent all the things, the celebration from Nashik. I sent an email. I gave, also there's there are a bunch of pictures, and then on YouTube, there's now a video. It's like 42 minutes long, but it's all of Alex. Alex is always so good about putting nice pictures and nice videos. And I put them in Adobe Media Encoder and kind of made like, I don't know, 30 videos into one video. So.
On top of it, there's eclipse today. It's like it happens like 149 years or so. So it's much more powerful this year.
Good.
I mean, that's part. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's a double whammy then.
See, and like again, we're formless, but within the illusion, just like when I went to Nashik and it was what do you call that? Kumbh Mela. And like Maharaj says, oh, there's a very auspicious time in the illusion. Spiritual science says like 50 million saints and sadhus are coming to Nashik to praise, this presence. And you're in this space taking mantra during this time. Within the illusion, it's a very auspicious occasion.
Well,
And,
it did end up being a very auspicious for you.
well, but yes, but see, not to wrap mind around. And just like, I didn't know it was the eclipse. That's very wonderful. Now, is the eclipse able to be seen here in America or just in India?
Yeah, John.
I'm
I
sorry?
think it's like in South America or something. It's not here.
Oh, it's not here? Okay.
I think I looked it up. I think I looked it up, and it was, I'm not sure all the places, but I think the closest place was like South America or something.
Yeah, I think you're right. And
Well,
also,
of course, that's only to perceive it. It
Yeah.
is,
yeah, it is.
but
Yeah, but
it's only for us perceiving
Yeah,
it.
it's still happening. We don't
Yes,
have to
yes.
be standing in the yard looking at it.
It's not like it's only good if you can see it.
Exactly.
Well, that's the way we would have believed. In the past, I, as a person, must see the thing for it to,
To
Well, that's a
exist.
belief. That's a belief.
yeah, of course, but that's how we thought. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
standard thought.
that's been revealed as an illusory thought. But anyway, we couldn't see it because it's it's not so great out there right now in terms of the clouds.
But
So,
the energy's the same.
yeah.
See, now that's the first time I've actually picked that up. I've always been in the illusion that, you have to be able to see it.
Well, then
Yeah,
you just busted your illusion.
Yeah,
But
I did.
like Manohar has said, so Guru Purnima already, there's a lot of energy. And this is the time where Ramakant Maharaj, as Maharaj, no longer in the form, but Maharaj, is impressing. And this is the time to remain with your selfless self. Manohar, can you explain this?
Yeah. How should I tell? Because for us in the eclipse time, right? It started at 1:30 in the night. So I actually woke up at 2, and then from 2:30 onwards, I was doing meditation until 4:30. It was over, and then we had a 4:45 call. But ideally, on this day, they say the Guru principle is like 1,000 times more powerful.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it's like you can say like a full-blown Guru coming at your face, like. And I'm not saying it correctly, but yeah.
Right.
This is a very most auspicious day where disciples go to the Guru and seek initiation on this day. This is the day to get initiated from a Guru.
Yeah.
Even I don't know too much, but yeah.
I think you can get it through the remembrance of Ramakant and through what John is talking about. It's like channeled, right?
Exactly. That's why, yeah, when that guy a couple of weeks ago, he said, oh, who's the master? Truly, Maharaj is the master, the formless reality that's speaking through form and can do it in any form. And for just in this particular form, how Sri Ramakant Maharaj in form placed his hand on the shoulder and said, guide them. And that was the passing on, the whatever you want to call it, where now at 7, I may be just going about doing whatever I'm doing, and 7:15 sit here and Maharaj is speaking. And that's not trying to be like egoistic, like, oh, I'm Maharaj. No, this is the vessel that Maharaj, the voice box that Maharaj is using to speak.
And ideally, on every Guru Purnima, you kind of pay your respects to your master, because
Yes,
for thanking him for initiating you, kind of like that. So.
And even Jesus always gave all the credit to God, not to himself.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And when we were initiated in the ashram, right, they kind of like made it a rule, like on every Guru Purnima, we are supposed to, catch up, at least in person. So,
Yes.
I think mainly to take advantage of the Guru's presence, right? On that day, the Guru's force is like really too much.
Yes.
So anyone who's like about to get enlightened, right, they might, get enlightened by the sheer presence. So we're lucky guys.
Yeah.
Kind of like magnetization. So like there used to be a master in India, like Ramana Maharshi. In old days, I mean, one American lady, it seems she was sitting in front of the master. And then when she went back, right, like all like the foreigners, they used to stay in one place in India. So when she went back, her fellow colleagues said, like, what happened to you? You look like you carry an aura right now. I said, I did nothing. I was just sitting in front of the master.
Mm-hmm.
So Ramana Maharshi was like a giant, he used to just wipe off your minds like anything.
Yes.
And then you're like literally clean. So It's like as good like that actually on Guru Purnima.
Yes.
Mm.
Hmm.
I mean, she was like glowing with everything. Because I saw one, because my father's friend was like, he was also an advanced practitioner. So, but I used to sit, when I used to talk to him, I used to see like literally glow in his face. So he used to meditate every day in a different style though. But that kind of thing, you know, I saw it. So
Good, good.
Mm. Yeah. I was thinking maybe we should all read a little bit of Amrit Laya or Ultimate Truth as a, I don't know, a devotional thing. Or maybe the master's book that you refer. I don't have that one. The self-realization book.
Oh, Master of Self-Realization?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The one without the feet.
Yes. Yeah, that one, yeah. That was the one that was sent. I said Sandra has that one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if that's on Amazon.
The one without the feet? I don't think so. Because I bought the one on Amazon with the feet in
Yeah.
the hard copy
Oh,
and
yeah.
also on Kindle. Because I told you, on the metro or on the train, I read just a little bit of like a bunch of different books every day. So, but yeah, definitely tonight, before going to bed, even knowing and saying, okay, Master, today is the day. I leave my mind, ego, intellect at your feet.
Yeah. It's a burden you could put down, right?
Absolutely.
Because what good
And
does it ever do you? It just causes more and more trouble, it seems like.
well, and once put down, don't pick back up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, today I'm going to put it down. Then the next thing happens. Oh, I need to pick this mind, ego, intellect up now and do this. I'll lay this down again another time.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
No, it's like you're dead.
That's what they mean by this. They say that the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, well, and it's got to be like, okay, at your feet is where I remain. And at your feet is not just physical body down on the feet. Of course, you can do this for a little bit more impression, but at your feet is at your teachings.
Yeah.
The feet of the master are the teachings. You follow them as if they were laws, like, okay, I'm coming in a situation. I am not body. I was not body. I'm not going to remain the body. Master said I have to take serious. I can't do part-time spirituality. Be like, okay, after this, I'll watch some TV, meditate for 10, 15 minutes, maybe read a little and go to sleep. No, it has to be like impressed, like, okay, all the time, I want to keep with my selfless self. I want to remain with that sense of presence. I know everything is appearing on presence. And when I am the witness of this presence and I'm just seeing this presence without any sensory organs, this presence is here. And I don't have to really do any active seeing to see it. It's just here. Everything's arising on presence. And if I'm witnessing presence, I'm prior to presence. Presence says, so that's my natural state. Just I without anything. Because all the things appeared on presence, and I am only the knower of this sense of presence.
Well, sounds good. Maybe we should let you cool off.
That sounds good too. You haven't drinking Gatorade in front of this AC. I don't know. I might have to look and see if the filter needs changing or what, but it's not cold.
Oh,
Anyway.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Guru Purnima.
yeah, happy Guru.